and talk about the music you love. I'm excited today because I finally got him on my show. It's been about a year we've been talking about it. We was over at Kobe's over in Silver Beach talking about it. I
Yeah,
finally got
yeah.
Mr. Dwayne Cousins on my show. Say hello to my audience, man.
What's up, y'all? It's your guy, the Rugged. I'm honored to be on the show, man. It's some really cool stuff that you're doing here, for us artists that need to get out there and need to, have a platform for our voices. So I appreciate you having me.
Man, Dwayne, man, I appreciate you coming on, man. We're going to dive right into it because, I like to try to keep the show about 30 minutes
Yeah.
and everybody who knows that. And if we have to do a part two, hopefully I can get you back on, man.
Oh
But
yeah,
let's
yeah,
dive
yeah.
right into it. Let's dive right into it.
All right.
For my new listeners and those who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm just a dude that can play a little bit of bass. A little bit, I mess around and stuff. But
Yeah.
no, I've been doing it for a minute. You can see the gray and all that. So I've been doing it for a minute.
Right,
And
right.
I started like back in I guess when I was like I did my first professional show, like getting paid, the real
Yeah.
definition of
Right.
professional when I was like 13. I was
Okay.
playing in my brother's band. We had like a funk cover band, and
Yeah.
I played in my brother's band. It was down in Gulfport, Mississippi.
Oh my good. Is that where you're from?
Well, kinda. I was born in LA, like in California,
Okay.
and then when I was younger, about 12, my mom and my dad's family are from the South. My dad's from Louisiana, and my mom's from Mississippi, and yeah, so we moved down there, when I was really young. And
Okay.
so I got down there and learned a lot. I mean, when I moved down there, I wasn't really even into music. My dad was a blues guitarist,
Ah,
and he's played with a lot of names, you know what I mean? ZZ
right.
Hill, Bobby Blue Bland, all the, my
Wow.
dad was that guy, and he's a session
Yeah.
player. And then my mom used to own nightclubs and stuff like that down in the South, and that's kind of how they
Ah.
met and I got made. She was owning the
Right.
club, and he's a
Yeah.
musician. So yeah, that's the start right there.
Oh, that's the star right
Yeah,
there.
that's the start right there. So then I lived down in Mississippi from age 12 to like age maybe 19, and then
Okay.
moved back to Cali. Couldn't wait to get back to Cali and and
Man.
and, and do me, because all while I was down there I was just missing home. Even at a young age, I was ready to
Right.
come back. But that's my little history on coming up with music. My family, I had 7 uncles. They were all musicians and all Southern Baptist
Ah.
ministers. All of
Yeah.
them.
Oh my good. Oh, I know.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, all of them. So I grew up where you either with the church or you got a whooping or did some chores or
That's,
something. So
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I
So
did
was your
that.
dad that really inspired you then, huh?
Yeah, I would say my dad and my brother. My brother was a drummer, and
Oh, okay.
yeah. So the first time I ever seen like musicians and stuff, my dad used to have a fish fry at the cookout, and all the blues guys come over.
Uh-huh.
And that's when I first got into it. But I was into basketball, so I wasn't even
Okay.
thinking about it. But my brother was a drummer. My dad is the first one that got my brother into music. And then, we had separate fathers and all that. But,
Okay.
he got my brother into music. And then later on, I think I was about like 12.
Yeah.
My brother used to have problems keeping a bass player in the band for some reason. I don't know what it was. And
Ah.
my mom was like, "You're gonna play bass." I wasn't interested at all. You hear me? So
So
and
so what
so
was the defining moment then? What was the defining moment that made it click
I
though?
would
You just
say
12.
I would say my mom. She just went out and bought me my first. Remember those PVTKO bass amps? Yeah, she bought that, and she bought a Gibson Ripper. Yeah, the
Ah.
Gibson Ripper bass. It was the one that had the sliding pickup. Yeah, and
Oh,
so a
that's
classic
crazy.
piece. So she bought that for me, and I just kept messing around with it. I wasn't even interested. So one day my brother was having rehearsal, a jam session at the house, and I was
Uh,
watching the bass player that was playing at the time play slide, right? So I'm watching him do it. I'm just watching
uh,
him like, I could do that. You know what I'm saying? And I really still wasn't interested, had a bass and everything, but I was like, I could do that. And so, and when they snuck off and well, they went off to do take a break from rehearsal,
right.
I snuck and picked it up and started playing it. And then I heard my brother, who in there touching that bass? And so they came in, you can play bass, you know. So
Oh,
yeah, so that's how I kind of got started between my mom and my brother. My dad didn't even know I played bass till maybe like a year later because I really wasn't into it, you know. And
wow.
yeah, and then when he figured it out, he was like, oh boy, you know what I mean? So he went nuts, got me a
Yeah.
better bass and all that stuff. So yeah, it was crazy.
So it's the natural talent too that kind of,
Yeah, the
that you,
natural talent
yeah,
just kind of
that
because it
that
ran
God
in the
given
family.
gift, man.
Yeah,
That God
yeah,
given gift. So
yeah,
that
yeah.
was kind of like your pivotal moment of everything switching for you. Then
Hmm.
about
Hmm.
12. Okay,
Yeah,
that's cool. That's
yeah.
cool. Let's talk about some of your challenges and your growth.
Okay.
Because I know you said you came back to Cali at the age of 19.
Yeah.
All right. So, what were some of the challenges that you faced on the journey getting back into this thing in Cali?
Well, from that period of being down in Mississippi and Cali, I had got into rap. I mean, I had all
Really?
a little, yeah, I got into rap real tough.
I didn't
First,
know that, man.
yeah, I couldn't stand rap at first, but a pivotal moment was my friends they forced me to go see Crush Groove, right? And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I went and saw Crush Groove, and then they were like, "Man, you gonna like it?" I was like, "Rap is stupid," you know what I'm saying? But when that one scene where LL Cool J walked in the room was like
Right.
box and
Yeah.
changed my life. I was like, I was 16. I was working at Popeye's Chicken. Took my
Uh-huh.
whole Popeye's Chicken check, bought me a big old fat gold rope and a terry cloth Kango. But
Right.
yeah, I got into rap, and then when I moved back to California, all of my friends that I went to school with when I was a kid was either dead, gone in jail, something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Right.
so I had to adapt as a young adult, and that was kind
Right.
of tough. Then a friend of my brother's had a little home studio with a little Tascam 4-track.
Yeah.
So I started going over there hanging out, and that's when I started getting into like composing music and production and stuff like that. So adapting to the slow life in Mississippi, then back to Cali as a young adult was a heck of a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah. It
It's
had to be.
crazy.
Yeah. Because my mother, she's from Mississippi. God
Right,
rest
right,
her
right.
soul. And my dad's from Texas, a little small city called Lott, Texas.
Yeah,
God rest his soul too. Both my parents are deceased. They
right.
transition.
Yeah,
But
mine too. Mine too.
yeah, but just that scene from Mississippi to LA. I mean, I know it had to be different.
Yeah.
Now, what was the first person that you met with substance that gave you some advice on how to manage things? Because you talked about that Tascam. I had a Tascam 488.
Yep.
You know, I was I hope she do see this video, even though I told my wife, before she was my wife, "Ooh, honey, me and Sheila gonna get together." The girl is just,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
everybody had a crush on Sheila.
yeah.
So right, you guilty too. I said,
Mhm.
but the whole thing is though. My question is this though. You know, uh, the one with some substance that kind of guides you because LA can be a really tricky scene. People always promising you stuff, but really
Yeah,
don't help you. Who was the first person that kind of gave you some substance and some guidance on how to manage certain things?
I would say is two that I could really like say really pointed me in the right direction. One was Mitchell McDowell. Do you know who that is?
No.
Uh he's the IE legend, General Kane. Yeah,
Mm,
General Kane. He's like one of the first artists out of the Inland Empire that got signed. He was on Motown. He had this song called "Crack Kill Applejack," and it was big. And yeah, it was back in the
yeah.
'80s. So me and him were having like a discussion, and he was talking about, and that's when I was thinking just being a talented bass player would get me, success. And he was like, "No, you got to know business. You got to know this and that." And me, I was defiant. You know what I mean? I was like, "Whatever,
Right.
homie. Shoot, I'm dope. I can go to LA and get a deal tomorrow." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Yeah.
and he was like, "Really?" He's like this young kid, right? But he showed me that you have to be, on both sides. There's the music, then there's the music business. So
Right.
he showed me that. I went to LA the next day though. So we went to LA. I had a friend of mine. His name was Alan Hart. He was a keyboardist, and
Uh,
he knew a couple people. So he took us to Solar Records. And
right. Yeah.
yeah, took us to Solar and Dick Griffey, the owner.
Yeah.
He was just like
Yeah.
He said, I really can't mess with you right now because I got these two cats from the deal. They wanted to do this production, Terry and Jimmy thing, and blah, blah, blah. So you know who he was talking about, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So he said, but I'm gonna point you in the right direction. So he gave us Lonnie Simmons' number from Total Experience Records. So we went down there, and dude, like on the spot, contract, paperwork on the spot, signed me and my buddy at the time to a producer deal, right? And so and he just told me, he said, one thing you got to remember about this business, when you act like you don't need the help, you get all the help you need.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Wow.
that stuck with me forever.
Yeah.
So that led
Yeah.
to some other stuff. But those two people, Mitchell McDowell, General Kane, and Lonnie Simmons, told me two profound things that like stuck with me.
Okay. We got a couple of people online from Brazil
Oh,
and also from see, we got from London.
right,
And
right, right.
since we're talking about the business, let's just kind of, we won't dive too deep in it on this part on this segment, but
Yeah.
why is it that so many people lack the business sense of really learning the music business? Because got requirements of nature, but they end up, working so hard because they lack getting the finances together.
I think
Talk to my people about that.
I think like, I mean, well, I ain't gonna talk about your age because I know how old I
Right, right. Yeah, yeah.
am.
No, I'm a young 60. I'm a young 60. So,
That's right. That's right. Well,
yeah.
me and you had the privilege of seeing the turn of the century when it comes to music.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We had the privilege to see it
Yeah.
go from 8 tracks, to cassettes,
Yeah.
CDs, the
Yeah.
vinyl period, from
Right.
analog to digital, now back to analog.
Right.
We've seen all that. So I think over the years, the reason people get like, a little discouraged and stuff, because back in those days, there was gatekeepers everywhere on
Right.
all levels. You couldn't,
Yeah.
you not getting no music out unless you had a deal back in the day.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Now the average 13-year-old can release his whole album, mix, master, and record it on his phone.
Yeah.
and,
Exactly.
and you know that, and there's nothing wrong with that, but the business of it is different. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the attention span of the average music lover, 6 seconds. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a little
Right.
different now. So I think on the business side of it, you have to be able to adapt to the circumstance. Like, I'll never be that old man that's sitting there, oh, these young whippersnappers, they don't know, blah, blah, blah. No, this is their time. But
Right.
it's our job to make sure we stay on top of it. You know what I
Okay.
mean? That's what I
Yeah.
can say about the business now.
Yeah. You know what, Dwayne, man, that's a good point because, uh, I, I struggle on the fence about certain things, like even with the AI thing coming into play. Um, I don't want to lose my creativity by giving
Yeah.
AI my stuff.
Right,
But
right, right.
now, after I write something, I might say, okay, have my friend put it in AI because I don't have it. But I might have a friend put it in there and see what happens to give me more creative juices.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
so my
yeah.
question is this: those who don't really play an instrument, uh, how do you feel about that? I mean, people just okay, AI, play this. This is what I want. I want a smooth jazz
Yeah,
track
yeah,
with the horns, but a nice sultry vocalist like Anita Baker or whatever. How
yeah.
do you feel about stuff like that?
I'm the kind of guy that adapts, like I was just talking about. You have to adapt to
Yeah.
things. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
A lot of real music creators are like kind of worried, right?
Right.
But I look at it like this: they're just making organic music a rarity, and it'll make it more sought after. Like
Gotcha.
that's what I think, because when I listen to AI, and yeah, I'm a trained ear or whatever, but when I
Right.
listen to it, I don't hear soul. You know what I mean? I can tell it's not going to be
Okay.
around for. It's very like trendy. It's right now.
Okay.
Even if somebody puts in the prompt, say, "Give me like a '60s Motown soul vibe," you can hear it. It's not organic. You can hear it.
Okay.
You can
Right.
feel it. There's such thing as timeless music, and a lot of people don't. They don't care about that. You know what I mean? And that's why. that's why you get it like chart topping and AI and stuff. We're like, really? You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
after a while, you
yeah.
don't hear about it no more. You know what I'm saying? So
You know
I
what?
think
I
that's
was
I'm not afraid of it.
okay because I was getting ready to ask you that question because I've seen you guys in action, man. I mean, I've seen you guys in action. I mean, you got your two girls up there just jamming on keys, just rocking it.
Thank
You on bass slamming. Every once in a while I see Jared on drums. You guys are playing real old funk music.
you. You know.
So my
Mhm.
question is
No,
this.
no,
Go
no. Go
ahead.
ahead.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. I got you.
Okay. So my question is this. I mean, we're doing covers from like Stevie Wonder to Earth, Wind, and Fire. Those songs are 30, 40, 50 years old songs. It has staying power. What do you think it is that keeps that staying power with those type of songs compared to like some of the stuff we were talking about, the AI things?
Um, my opinion, and it's just my opinion. I think is being organic. It came from someone.
Right. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That's what it
Yeah.
is. That's
Yeah.
what timeless music is. It came from someone. It's not from a petri dish in a lab or a prompt and
Right.
stuff. It came from someone loving to do what we do, right?
Okay.
Love. You know how
Yeah.
they say people cook with love and you can taste it,
Right. Right. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
what I think, music is. If someone creates it, they creating it out of a passion and desire for what they love to do, right?
Right.
So
Exactly.
and love is timeless. You
You
know what
know,
I'm
I'm
saying? So
Yeah, and I
that's
know
what
I'm
I believe.
interviewing you. I know I'm interviewing you, but
Right.
that's the reason why I feel like they call it soul music
Yeah.
because it is from the soul. I
Yeah.
mean, it's life experiences that you're writing from,
Right. 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 Right.
and you can feel it. Uh, let's talk about your band, man. How did you get this band started?
Oh
Official
shoot.
Biz.
Wait, hold on. I'm reading in the chat.
Uh,
Somebody said, "Who did Diddy in the chat?"
right. Oh yeah. Oh, you see? Yeah. I saw that, but I said I'm not going to even comment on that one.
Hey, and I know why they're saying that because it's early in the morning and I'm
Yeah,
using the
yeah.
mic on these Ray Bans, right?
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
so you can hear me better. But you know what? Hold on. I'm gonna do something age appropriate.
All
All right.
right.
Okay. Let me see. Okay, there we go.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
So yeah, let's get rid of that Diddy vibe. So
All right.
um no, well with the band, Official Biz, the brand itself, I
Okay.
started that back in I would say '07, '08.
Okay.
Yeah, '08. That was and actually I hadn't really done the band thing in years. I put it to you
Oh.
this way. I hadn't even owned a bass guitar from year 2000 to 2006, I would say. Hadn't picked up one.
Oh.
And I got into music production, so I'm more on keys and drum machines and mixing and
Yeah.
mastering stuff. I got into that. And so my cousin Mitch, he was like man, I need a bass player for my band. He was touring the casino circuit down south. And I just, man, I ain't played a bass in years. And he's like, man, come on, just riding the bike, get on. So I got back into it. And then after I left his band, I was like, I could do this. It's good money, right?
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
that's the reason actually I started Official Biz, to get some money, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but that
Yeah. 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 I had lost you for a hot second there.
need to put my phone on airplane mode or something. Let me see.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So later on, it started spawning into different things with different members coming in and out. It's inspiring me to do more original music.
Okay.
So over the past
I lost your audio again. Yeah. Okay.
writing and composing and working on original music and stuff. So yeah, I started the
Yeah.
band back in '07, but over the past, I would even say 7, 8 years, especially with Bunny, we really
Okay.
started collaborating on original
That's
music.
that's the keyboard player, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she joined
Yeah.
the band in I would say late '09, something like that.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, and
Okay.
she's been around off and on, but she's the longest member, of the band,
Okay.
since since '09. And but me and her really got into writing and producing stuff. We
Yeah.
decided to get into that. It really wasn't even a band anymore. It was just me and her for a while.
Wow.
And we
Yeah.
just started producing and getting into that. So far as the band part of it, Bunny has been around the longest, and we got into writing and producing. Then we got the band back going because I would say this is like right after COVID, something like that.
Yeah.
We had a manager. His name was Jeff Luna. He was managing Jelly Bean Johnson at the time, and
Okay.
he wanted us to write and produce some songs for him, and he also wanted to do a show and out in Minneapolis. And so
Mm.
then the drummer that we were with at the time, Mr. Herbie, he uh he went with us, and we did a show out in Minneapolis with Jelly Bean Johnson, and we decided to get the band back together. And so we got some new members and all that stuff. After that, it inspired me and Bunny to say, you know what, we're gonna do this band thing again because it
Yeah.
kind of took off, again. So
Right.
that's how the band came. And then the other keyboardist, Diana, came. And I had known Diana for a while through church circuit.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, Diana came, and then that was the band, the four of us, me, Mr. Herbie, Diana, and Bunny. And then recently, past couple years, that's when we got Coyote. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
old Cody
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
But
It's
yeah, so
good.
that's the history of the band, and ever since then, we just been trying to do original music. Like Bunny has an album that she dropped in 2020.
Oh
I
man.
had one, and then we did this album called The Product. Is me and Bunny just producing a bunch of different artists, like a compilation.
Man, I gotta get both you guys on the show together, man. I gotta
Oh
get
yeah,
both you guys
oh
on
yeah,
the show together
oh yeah,
on the
oh yeah,
next go round because
yeah,
I like to hear her perspective on what she got going on too, man.
yeah, yeah.
But, okay, let me ask you this then. Um, the music business sometimes gets tough for us.
Yes.
Has there ever been a moment where you thought about just quitting?
Yeah, every day. Like there was there was a moment we were getting kind of tough. I mean, you can ask Bunny, man. We had moments where we were doing 3 gigs in like 24 hours, like that. We would do the day
Yeah.
gig, then go to the club at night, and do one the next day.
Right.
We was gigging tough, but we were still dabbling in the originals. But we were just gigging so tough. I went to no, actually, real quick. I'm watching, scrolling on the phone like we all do, right?
Yeah.
And I see this guy singing and playing bass, and the band is rocking and stuff. I'm like, dang, this dude is kind of like what I do, right?
Right.
Lead singer on bass and all that. And I'm watching it. Man, they funky. They look a little grungy, but they dope, right? So
Right.
then I went to NAM that year, and I ran into this guy, and it was Jara. And I met Jara that night, and I'm looking at him, and we topping it up, and then he had a jam session for his birthday, and we got up and jammed, and we've been cool ever since. But he was a big uh push in me going indie as far as the original
Ah.
and music. He was a big
Yeah.
push because I admire what he did, because he's
Yeah.
doing his originals. And
Yeah.
you know
Jared,
how
man. Yeah.
slapback gets down. So they were
Yeah.
a recent push in me wanting to push that side of Official Biz, because we
Good,
were
man.
producing, but we were doing solo albums and stuff. But
Right.
for Official Biz to go original, he was kind of a big motivation to do that.
All right.
And
Look,
but 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 during that time, I was
uh,
like, yeah, I'm done with this. But I met him, and it kind of gave me a push.
man, okay, that's what I'm talking about. Jeremy,
Yeah,
he's such a good guy, man. He's such a
yeah,
good guy.
yeah, yeah.
Look, I want to ask you two questions real quick
Hmm.
because people talk about the ups and downs of this business.
Hmm.
All right, and this conversation is going to be always ongoing.
Okay.
We're about some of the people as far as the pay scale.
Yeah.
You know, what is it about some people that don't, how can I choose my words properly, that don't respect the gift that God has given us, but they want A1 top quality? why are those people you feel, in your opinion, don't want to pay us? But then there are some people who do pay pretty good.
Yeah.
What do you say about that?
I think success is what you deem it to be. Like if you if you're like doing the cover band thing, and I don't knock that, you know, if you're in the cover band and you know these places are trying not to pay, you know what I'm saying? You already know the game. You know what they're trying not to pay. You know you're nothing but a human jukebox up there. They don't give a dang about your dream, your goal. Can you play Brick House? You know what I'm saying? Can you play Outstanding? Can you play Mustang Sally? You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a choice and a settling thing. I mean, if you're out there, you grinding that life, that's cool, but you already know what it is. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and that's what they look at you as a placeholder, you know. And then on the flip side, and
Gotcha.
where we're at, as far as where Official Biz is at, or bands like Slapback or whatever, it's like it's a labor of love, because we're never going to get what we're worth until
Right.
we put ourselves there.
Right.
We got to put ourselves there to get what, at least close
Yeah.
to what our talent is worth. But as long as you're up there playing Bruno Mars cuts and people giving you requests and all that, and like I said, I ain't knocking that. If that's your grind, pay your bills. But you
Right.
know what that is, and
Yeah.
that's just my personal opinion. I probably get a little
Right.
little hate on that one, but it's just one of those things to where you know what it is.
Nah.
If you go work at McDonald's, you know what it is.
You know what it
Yeah,
is. I appreciate that. No, but that's a valid opinion,
yeah,
man. Because here's the thing: I always feel this way. You know, some people will never, but we can make a good living in doing this music business, and
yeah,
people need to remember that because some people are striving to be
yeah,
household names. I play in two bands, and well, actually three. My wife and I, we have this thing that we do for a nonprofit
yeah,
organization. We don't do too many shows, but we do a lot of stuff for senior citizens and
yeah.
underprivileged people. So I pay the band, but we don't make the money. We give out all kinds of things and
Right,
help
right.
out. But with that being said, though, uh, you hit something very heavy. If you don't make yourself valuable and you don't value yourself, I think that's what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah,
You will settle for, okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and do this.
yeah,
No, I'm not that you're thinking more highly than yourself, but you're better than that.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
you got to
Personally,
just tell people, no, look, gas is $6, seven.
yeah,
Come on, man,
yeah.
you can't give me $75 for this gig.
Yeah, yeah,
you
that's
know?
what I'm saying. I mean, I've seen some places, especially here in the Empire, that's still trying to pay $100 a man. They want you there working, doing
Yeah.
2, 3 sets, and they pay
Right.
you 100. But
Yeah.
when and the establishment's been there 10 years, and they prices then went up, they food then went up, they charge more at the door, and they still trying to
Right.
give you
Yeah.
2006 money. You know what I'm saying? So
Right. Right.
that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. It's a labor
Yeah.
of love, whether you're doing the cover circuit or the indie circuit. It's still a labor of love because you're not really getting
Right.
what your talent is worth. Because I guess in the book it says talent is wealth, right? So
Right. Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, that's why I look at it like success is what you deem it to be. If you're good with that, you know
Yeah.
what it is. You know what I mean? If you
Yeah.
want more than that,
Yeah.
you know what it is.
You know what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So how do you want to impact your community and also your fellow musicians? How do you want to impact them as far as what you're doing for a living?
Well,
What
it's like
advice can you give?
the only advice I can give is that you know, a famous writer said, "Those that matter don't mind; those that mind don't matter." And and that was Dr. Seuss, Green Eggs and Ham. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, and what I'm saying, how that applies is that everybody's going to have an opinion on what you do. Everybody just wants to drop
Right.
opinions just to have something to say. Don't let those things discourage you, as far as leaving an
Uh,
impact and a mark. I just want to be one of those people. If the tombstone had to read anything, um, it should say he did exactly what he loves to do. I'll tell you real quick.
yeah.
The day that Jelly Bean Johnson passed, we was texting, and he was telling me,
Wow.
yeah, he was telling me that he was coming to perform at
Oh,
Vibrato. He said, "Man, I'm getting you and Bunny tickets. I want y'all to come to Vibrato and hang out." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I said, "I'm going out to dinner. I'm gonna hit you 2 hours to work out the details." He was like, "Cool." I get back and it's all on social media. I'm like, "This ain't true." You know what I mean?
wow.
And so I called Jeff, who's still managing him at the time, and Jeff was just gone, like distraught. And
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe it. I was just talking to him 2 hours ago, you know. And the
Right.
reason I'm bringing it up is because he was on tour. You know what I'm saying? He
Yeah.
came in and went out doing what he loved to do. And I was like,
Right.
I think it was like a day or two after his birthday, So
Man.
yeah,
Right.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's as far as impact. I just say do what you love to do with no apologies.
Man, Dwayne, man, I really appreciate you coming on the show. We're gonna have to do a part two, man.
Oh
And
yeah,
Bunny, right?
yeah, we got to get
We'll get
Bunny.
Bunny along with you. Yeah, man, because let them know I play keys too. I'm not as good, but I play keys with the remix band. I'm not a stalker, you know. But you know what? If you could show me different voicing on the C chord, I'll take it. You
Man, you know what we need to do is you need to come by the spot and we can work on some music. That's where my
you
head
know
is at.
what? Let's make it happen.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's
yeah.
make that happen,
That's what
man.
I'm talking about.
Let's
Yeah,
make that
y'all hear
happen.
you hear him saying that, right? You hear him. So
All
yeah.
right, yeah, we're gonna make it happen. To my people in Brazil, London, all those who join in, thank you guys very much. We're gonna be doing a part two real soon.
Oh yeah.
Dwayne, I appreciate you, brother, man. Much love to you, man.
Thanks a
All
lot, man.
right,
Appreciate you.
all right. Enjoy the rest of your day, bro.
All right now. Peace
All
out.
all right,
All right
later.
now.